Before the most famous duel in history, the Bible stops to count stones. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 40. David goes down to the stream, and the text slows down and gets strangely specific. He chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook. 5. Not a handful, not a few. 5, counted out loud, in a verse that has no reason to exist, because David only needs 1. 1 stone leaves the sling, 1 giant falls, and the other 4 stones vanish from the story without explanation. The Bible never tells you why he picked 5. It never mentions them again. But there is a chapter buried near the end of 2 Samuel, a chapter almost nobody reads that might. In the next few minutes, you are going to find out where Goliath actually came from, why his hometown is the most loaded word in the whole story, and what happened to the 4 stones David never threw. Because David did not walk into that valley to win a fight. He walked in to finish one that had been running for a very long time. Now, before we touch the bloodline, let us get the man himself on the table, because even his height is a crime scene. Your Bible probably says Goliath stood 6 cubits and a span, around 9 feet 9 inches tall. But among the Dead Sea Scrolls, the oldest surviving copy of the Book of Samuel, a manuscript catalogued as 4Q Samuel A, says something different. 4 cubits and a span, about 6 feet 9, and it is not alone. The Septuagint, the ancient Greek translation of the Bible, agrees. The historian Josephus, writing in the 1st century, agrees. So the oldest witnesses describe a huge man, the tallest man anyone had ever seen, but a man. The 9-footer appears in later copies. Scholars have argued about those missing 2 cubits for decades, and honestly, both readings have serious defenders. But notice what nobody argues about. Whatever his exact height, the text insists on where he is from, and it repeats it like a drum beat. Goliath of Gath, Gath, Gath. Hold on to that town, because it is the key to everything. And hold on to the number 5. Both of them come back at the end, in the same verse. Because to understand Gath, you have to go back to the strangest paragraph in the Bible. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days. The Hebrew word is Nephilim. The verse says, "The sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and the daughters bore children to them, and those children became the mighty men of old, the men of renown." 4 verses later, God announces the flood, and most people read it exactly that way. The Nephilim were the problem. The flood was the eraser. Problem, solution, clean slate. Except the verse itself refuses to cooperate. Read it again, slowly, and you hit 4 words that should not be there. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, after what? After the days that end in the flood. The Bible tells you, in the same breath it introduces them, that the flood did not get them all. It never explains how. It just leaves the loophole sitting there in plain sight and moves on. That is not a detail, that is a loaded gun on the table in Act 1. And by the way, if chasing the threads the Bible leaves hanging is your kind of thing, that is all this channel does. Subscribe to the Enoch Vault and let us pull this one all the way to the end, because the book of Enoch is the book that picks the gun up. Enoch tells the story, Genesis compresses. 200 angels, the Watchers, descend on Mount Hermon, take human wives, and father the giants. The earth cannot feed them, the violence spreads, and the flood comes, in Enoch's telling, for one reason above all the others. Not just to punish humanity, to wipe a bloodline off the map. The children of the Watchers were never supposed to exist, and the water is sent to unmake them. Their bodies drown. Their spirits, the book says, become something else. But that is another episode. What matters tonight is the arithmetic of the flood. It was aimed at a family. And Genesis, with those 4 quiet words, and also after that, admits the aim was not perfect. So keep asking the question the text wants you to ask. If something slipped through, where did it go? The Bible answers. Numbers, chapter 13. Israel is out of Egypt, camped on the edge of the promised land, and Moses sends 12 spies across the border. 40 days later, they come back shaking. The land is good, they say. It flows with milk and honey, but, and you can hear their voices drop. We saw the Nephilim there, the sons of Anak, who come of the Nephilim. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Stop. Look at what that verse just did. It used the word, not a poetic word for tall men. Nephilim, the Genesis word, the flood word. Centuries after the water went down, 10 terrified men stand in front of Moses and report that the thing the flood was sent to erase is alive, organized, and living in fortified cities in the exact land Israel has been promised. An entire generation refuses to cross the border because of that report. 40 years in the desert, an entire generation dying in the sand because of one family tree. And when you follow that family tree, the Bible turns into something you do not expect. A census of giants. Deuteronomy chapter 2 is supposed to be a boring travel log, and instead it reads like a field guide. The Amim dwelt there in times past, a people great and many and tall as the Anakim. The Zamzumim, a people great and many and tall as the Anakim. Different nations kept running into these clans and giving them different names, and Moses writes the names down like a man filing evidence, and over all of them hangs the oldest word, Rephaim, the giant clans of the deep past. Then Deuteronomy does something almost funny. It interrupts itself to give you a piece of furniture. Og, the king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of the Rephaim. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it. Is it not in Rabbah of the children of Ammon? A bed of iron over 13 feet long, and the text gives you the address where you can go and measure it yourself. Why would Scripture pause a war story to tell you where a bed is kept? Because someone, very early, understood that nobody was going to believe this. The bed is a receipt. Then comes Joshua, and the war stops being a war and becomes an extermination. Joshua, chapter 11, at the end of the conquest, gives you the report, and the language is total. At that time came Joshua, and cut off the Anakim from the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, from all the mountains of Judah and Israel. Joshua destroyed them utterly with their cities. City by city, name by name, the giant clans are hunted to nothing. And then verse 22, the verse this entire video pivots on. There was none of the Anakim left in the land of the children of Israel. Full stop. It is finished. The bloodline Genesis flagged, the bloodline the flood missed, the bloodline that scared a generation into the desert is gone. Except the verse does not stop there. Read the second half. Only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod there remained 3 cities, 3 Philistine cities outside Joshua's reach on the coastal strip. The most successful military campaign in the Old Testament ends with an asterisk. And there is a terrible irony hanging over that page because Joshua cannot hear what you can hear. He files his report believing the work is done, give or take 3 foreign towns that are not his problem. He has no idea that one of those three names is going to matter. You do. You have been holding it since the beginning of this video. Gath. Now count the years. 4 centuries pass. The book of 1 Samuel opens. Israel has a king named Saul, and the Philistines march into the valley of Elah. And out of their camp, morning and evening, for 40 days, walks a champion. Goliath of Gath. The text dresses him like a siege engine. A bronze helmet, a coat of mail weighing 5,000 shekels, greaves of bronze, a spear like a weaver's beam with an iron head weighing 600 shekels, and a shield-bearer walking in front of him like a mobile wall. He stands in the valley and roars a challenge no one answers. Choose you a man, and let him come down to me. And for 40 days, nobody moves. The Bible says Saul and all Israel were dismayed and greatly afraid. But ask yourself why. Saul has an army. Saul is himself the tallest man in Israel, head and shoulders above the people. Professional soldiers freeze for more than a month because they are not looking at a big Philistine. They are looking at a ghost story with a spear. Every man in that valley grew up on the report of the spies, grasshoppers. And now the thing from the report is standing in the sun, shouting their names. Goliath is not just a champion. He is the asterisk at the end of Joshua 11, walking out of it, and then a teenager arrives with a lunch delivery. You know this part, but watch it again, knowing what you now know. David hears the giant roar and asks the question no soldier dares to ask. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? Not how tall is he, not how heavy is his spear. Who is he? David is the only man in the valley asking about identity instead of size. And then comes a scene people skip, and they should not, because it is quietly hilarious and quietly devastating. Saul tries to fix the problem the only way Saul knows, with size. He takes the boy and dresses him in his own armor, his own helmet of bronze, his own coat of mail, his own sword, the tallest man in Israel hanging his equipment on a shepherd who can barely walk under it. David takes 3 steps and takes it all off. I cannot go with these, he says, for I have not proved them. Read what just happened. The king of Israel tried to answer a giant by building a smaller giant, and the boy refused. Whatever is about to happen in that valley, David has just declared it will not be settled by size. Then he goes down to the stream, and he counts out 5 smooth stones, and the Bible counts them with him. He runs at the giant. The sling turns, 1 stone, the forehead, and the ghost story falls on its face in front of 2 armies. 1 stone thrown, 4 still in the bag. And there is one more irony in that valley, and it belongs to Goliath. For 40 days he demanded a man come down to him. He has no idea, roaring at a shepherd boy too small for armor, that heaven has sent him exactly what he asked for. The appointed end of his entire line, carrying a bag with a stone in it for each remaining name. And notice what the story refuses to throw away. Goliath's sword. David takes it from the giant's own scabbard to cut off his head, and then the sword disappears from the narrative, exactly like the 4 stones. Until 4 chapters later. 1 Samuel chapter 21. David is on the run, alone, unarmed, and he stops at the sanctuary of Nob and asks the priest if there is any weapon in the house. And the priest says there is only one, the sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom thou slewest in the valley of Elah. It is here, wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. Someone kept it. Someone wrapped the giant's sword like a relic and stored it behind the holiest objects in the sanctuary, as if Israel itself sensed that the matter of Gath was not closed, and David answers with one line, "There is none like that. Give it me." The boy who refused the king's sword claims the giants. Keep that image, a weapon from Gath, waiting in the dark, wrapped up, not finished, because neither is the bloodline. Here is the chapter nobody reads, and it is where the title of this video gets paid in full. 2 Samuel, chapter 21. Decades have passed. David is old now, a king with gray in his beard, and the wars with the Philistines flare up one last time. And suddenly, the text starts introducing men with a very specific label. Ishbi-Benob, which was of the sons of the giant, with a new sword, nearly kills the exhausted David before Abishai cuts him down. Then Saph, which was of the sons of the giant, falls at Gob. Then Elhanan kills a giant. The text connects directly to Goliath, and the book of 1 Chronicles clarifies the family link. Lami, the brother of Goliath the Gittite, whose spear staff was like a weaver's beam, the same weapon, the same house. And then a fourth, a man of great stature, that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 24 in number, and he also was born to the giant. He defies Israel, and he is killed by a man named Jonathan. Careful with that name. Not Jonathan the son of Saul, not David's famous friend, who is long dead by now. This is a different Jonathan, the son of Shemaiah, David's own brother. The giant's last champion falls to David's own nephew. The house of Jesse finishes the house of the giant with its own blood. And then the chapter closes the ledger with one sentence, and this sentence is the whole video. These 4 were born to the giant in Gath, and fell by the hand of David, and by the hand of his servants. Hear the number in the verse. 4. These 4. That is what the text says, and that is what anyone who opens the chapter will find. Ishbi-Benob, Saph, the brother of Goliath, the 6-fingered man, 4 sons of the giant of Gath, cut down in David's old age. Now add the one man from that same house who fell decades earlier in the valley of Elah to a stone from a shepherd's sling. Goliath himself, 4 in this chapter, plus 1 in that valley. The house of the giant in Gath buried 5. And after that closing sentence, the giants of Gath never appear in the Bible again. Not once. The line Genesis flagged before the flood ends in the reign of David, name by name, like items crossed off a list. Now there are 2 ways to read the 5 smooth stones. One says it is coincidence, a shepherd's habit, spare ammunition, nothing more, and that is a perfectly respectable reading. The other way notices that the Bible counted the stones at the beginning of the story and counted the bodies across the whole of it, and that both counts say 5. 1 stone for Goliath, and 4 that waited decades for the sons of the giant. I cannot prove the second reading. Nobody can. But I can tell you the arithmetic is in the text, sitting there for 3,000 years waiting for you to do it. And yet the strangest thing about this bloodline is not how it ends. It is where the word goes afterward. Because Rephaim, the ancient name of the giant clans, does not leave the Bible when the giants do. It comes back. But when it comes back, in Isaiah and in the Psalms, it is not a name for a people anymore. It is a name for the dead, the shades, the ones down in Sheol, the waiting place under the world, who stir to greet a fallen king. Isaiah even says of them, they are deceased, they shall not rise. The word for the giants became the word for the ghosts, as if the language itself remembered where that family was sent and started using their name for everyone who goes there. And if you have been in the vault before, You already know we have stood at the door of that place. But the giants have one more story, and it is older than David and stranger than Goliath. It is Og, the king with the iron bed, the man Deuteronomy calls the last remnant of the Rephaim. Because ancient Jewish tradition asked the obvious question about him, if he was a remnant of the world before the flood, how did he get through the water? And the answer the old rabbis gave is one of the wildest things in all of ancient literature. It involves the ark itself. That door opens next time, and there are more doors behind it than we have touched. If you want to be inside when they open, you know what to do. Until then, tell me below. The 5 stones and the 5 sons of the giant, coincidence or arithmetic?